Good evening, everyone. My name is David Freese. I'm the mayor of Tonganoxie. I'd like to welcome you to this July 6, 2026 meeting of the Tonganoxie City Council, which we are bringing to order at this point. Ms. Huntington, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Wilkie?
Present.
Ms. McCutcheon? Here. Ms. Gruby?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Here.
Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting dated June 15th, 2026. Are there any comments about the minutes from the previous meeting? If not, I would accept a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gruby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 on the agenda is the consent agenda, in which we review the bill payments from the previous period. Are there any questions or conversation about the bill payments? Seeing none, I would accept a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4 on the agenda is old business. Nothing is listed, but this is the time in which we allow people to speak on any topic that they'd like. I'd like to remind everybody that we're neighbors, and we all have to live here. This is not a debate. It's not a Q&A. It's just your chance to get up here and say what you care to about a topic important to you, for the record. We have a hard 3-minute limit, and that's we stick to that as much as we can. And we stick to it. And that's all I have. Ms. Huntington, do you have the list of speakers?
I do.
All right.
Okay, our first one is Mr. Carl Skint.
Good evening. Some of you may know that I spent over 40 years in education. Prior to becoming a school administrator, I was a history, government, and government teacher. One class I taught was 9th grade civics. In teaching civics, I taught the 3 levels of government. They are federal, state, and local. In local government, I taught that local government is the most accessible and responsive level of government. It is where neighbors talk to neighbors, where elected officials know the people they serve, and where citizens should never feel ignored. After seeing what has happened with the petition submitted on May 18th, I feel like I need to apologize to my former students for not teaching them what actually happens in local government. Many members of our community took the time to sign, and we submitted a petition asking the City Council to address a moratorium on the proposed hyperscale data center. Regardless of whether each council member agrees with the petition, the citizens who signed it deserve more than silence. They deserve acknowledgement, communication, and a response. A petition is more than a collection of signatures. It represents people who care enough to participate in the government. It represents families, business owners, retirees, and parents who are asking to be heard. When a petition receives little or no response, it sends that message to the public participation does not matter. This is not the message our city should be sending. Public trust is earned through transparency, openness, and communication. Citizens should not have to wonder whether their concerns have been read, discussed, or considered. Local government works best when there is a two-way conversation, not when residents speak in a void. Every elected official took an oath to faithfully serve the people of this community. That responsibility includes listening, even when the issues are difficult or controversial. It includes explaining decisions, answering reasonable questions, and treating every resident with respect, regardless of whether they support or oppose a particular project. The proposed data center has generated significant public interest because of its potential long-term effects to our community. People have legitimate questions about the future character of Tonganoxie. These questions deserve public discussion, not silence. I respectfully ask the council to not only discuss in public why the petition was rejected, but other aspects of the data center, to include annexation options of the proposed data center and dealing with county commissioners, just to name a few. The strength of the community is not measured by the size of the development or the number of projects it approves. It's measured by relationships between its government and the people. The relationship is built on trust, and trust begins for listening. Please make accessibility, transparency, and responsiveness the standard for every citizen of Tonganoxie. Our community deserves nothing less. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next is Minette Holton.
Good evening. I'm not a public speaker, as I've said before. My name is Minette Holton. I've lived in Leavenworth County for the past 40-plus years. I was born and I lived in Licking County, Ohio, which is now called the Midwest Silicon Valley. And you can imagine what that means. That means there are 110 more data centers in my home county of Licking County. So I have seen, because I keep in touch and I go back and I visit my family in Ohio, so I very well know data centers. Many of you haven't seen data centers yet, so you still have a choice, and you deserve to understand what is at stake. The fight isn't about data centers, it's about your land. Across America, rural communities are facing one of the most important land use decisions in generations. Large-scale data center proposals are arriving with promises of tax revenue, jobs, investment, economic growth, better schools, stronger public safety, and community partnerships. None of those promises answer the most important question. Should rural land be permanently converted to industrial use? Developers have every right to advocate for their projects. Residents have every right to examine every claim with the same level of scrutiny. Promises should be measured against the public record, infrastructure requirements, long-term land use impacts, and the experience of other communities that have already gone through this process. Let's look at Virginia. Let's look at Ohio. Let's look at Georgia, Florida, Texas. No one will ever care more about your community than the people who live there. That responsibility cannot be outsourced. Read the comprehensive plan that Mr. Carlskin has talked about before here and at the commissioners' meeting. Follow every proposed amendment and rezoning. Attend meetings early, not just before the final vote. Ask difficult questions. Demand specific answers. Understand who owns the land, who represents the applicant, and what infrastructure will be required beyond the buildings themselves. The industry is organized. Rural communities must be equally organized. Developers have lawyers, engineers, consultants, public relations, financial resources. Citizens have something just as powerful, an informed voice, an organized community, and the ability to participate before decisions become permanent. Technology will continue to change. Companies will come and go. Markets will rise and fall. Protect the comprehensive plan. Question every rezoning. Nobody needs to predict the future, because history is one of our greatest teachers, but only if we're willing to learn from it. History is already what we have to learn from. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had it down to 3 minutes, but daggone it. Sorry.
I appreciate it.
Linda Steele.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to speak. The first statement I want to make is I do not give consent to be exposed or experimented on with cancer radiation treatment. Now, why am I saying I don't want consent to being experimented on with cancer radiation treatment? That's a rather odd thing to say. Who does? Well, the Nuremberg Code states that you cannot experiment on humans. Now, as a cancer researcher, I know that for many years, they have taken instead of just going radiation treatments in the gamma and what you think of a Chernobyl for killing cells, they have low-frequency radiation treatments, and they have magnetic treatments. So when somebody comes in and they want to put in transmission lines, high voltage, those will create EMFs of an intensity that can travel quite a ways, depending on how the frequency and how far. Then you have them going in and running electronics. Yes, my refrigerator releases EMFs, but this is at a whole different level. And I did not know that there is no government control of this, not the EPA, not the FDA, not the FCC. There is no state control for these. It is down to local, and that is you. You have the policing power to make sure that this community stays healthy. There are techniques to shield. So if the data center goes in, I am requesting that you look at the health of the people in this community and you stop EMFs from leaving the campus. You shield it. You mitigate the transmission lines. There's ways to negate the magnetic dipolar. I'm not the energy high voltage person, but there are ways that they can mitigate to stop the EMFs from leaving. Cloverleaf has said that they're going to not run the data in, they're taking it in on the buried fiber optics. That should not be a problem, but you have to put in that you don't want the cell towers running frequencies. I do not know how we've been running these lower frequency EMFs to kill cancer cells, which kills fast dividing cells, which on me, that's going to lose my hair, my stomach lining, and my immune cells. Children, pregnant women, children are fast dividing cells. You do not want to put something in that could take frequencies to harm children in our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tammy Patton.
Do you remember when computers were so large that sometimes they took up an entire room? And now they're so small that you can hold them in your hand. And memory cards were floppy disks, now they're smaller than my fingertip. I have some questions that I would like for you guys to consider. My question for you is what happens when this data center isn't needed anymore? Because they're saying down the road, they won't need a building so large to do the same amount of work. Do you really think that in 20 years, when they're ready to start paying taxes, that these buildings will still be needed? Who will pay to remove these buildings, or will this infrastructure, almost the size of Tonganoxie, just remain an eyesore? Do you realize that the land that was used will not be able to be returned back to farmland and could be uninhabitable? I know that there has been some backlash because of the 1,100-acre comparison that we've shown online, instead of the 400 or 500-acre building that's been mentioned. If they're buying 1,100 acres, what regulations are in place to prevent them or the end user from expanding to the entire 1,100 acres? By the way, that's almost the size of the city of Tonganoxie. We have no clue who the end user will be for this data center. Will you 100% guarantee that the buyer will be required to follow every rule and regulation that has been set forth? That's really hard to do when the building is sold to a new user. Everything is about supply and demand. Can you make promises to the community that our electric bill will not go up? Many cities have found that their bills have sometimes tripled. If you look at the past, Virginia, Ohio, look what they're doing with their water bill, their electric bill. Their property taxes are even going up when they were told it was going to go down. I've gotten up here before and spoke about how surrounding home values will be affected by having this built next to them. Your neighbors, your community, what can you put in place to guarantee this will not affect their ability to move and to sell their homes at today's market value? If this data center causes any problems with pollutants released in the air or it affects our water sources, will you make Cloverleaf or the end user be responsible for cleaning it all up and putting the money back into the community that you have paid for since they no longer need that building in 20 years? In conclusion, please consider what you're doing to this community. I'm looking into building or opening another business here. I own a couple already, and it's going to be with animals. Do I really want to open a business here if this is going to be 5 miles from my property? Think about what you're doing to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others? Does anyone else care to speak? All right, thank you all. We'll move on to new business. Council, if you don't mind, I'd like to switch the agenda a little bit to put item B before A. Consider approval of radio equipment software upgrades for the police department. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give a quick introduction and then welcome Chief Lawson for any additional comments or questions you may have for either of us. What you have included in the agenda packet this evening is an agenda statement and an enclosed quote for a somewhat surprising purchase request. Previously, the city has invested in radio equipment for both our police and fire department at different times, including several years ago utilizing a grant program provided by the state of Kansas Governor's Office to help obtain radio equipment, which is the hardware side of our radio system. In recent talks with Leavenworth County, which manages dispatch services for all but Leavenworth City in terms of local jurisdictions in Leavenworth County, utilization of funding that are sometimes referred to as 911 taxes that phone plans and phone customers pay periodically. Each city and agency in the county other than Leavenworth City provided those funds many years ago and dedicated them to the county to support ongoing work in this area in dispatch and radio communications. What we've learned, though, in more recent discussions is the enactment of a radio encryption program specific for law enforcement. And beginning later this year, the city, in order to retain the ability to communicate on those encrypted channels with other law enforcement agencies, as well as the dispatch system, will need to make an investment in what's called the software side of the radio. So in order to allow this hardware that is capable of doing this, the software needs to be updated in what's called a flash update. We've received a quote from our Motorola vendor called TBS Electronics that the city works with to program and work with our current radio systems. And that quote is $12,850.25. We would propose that as a sole source update because, again, it is proprietary hardware that's being worked on. This is not an item that we planned last summer in our 2026 adopted budget. So what we hope to do is later this year advance a budget amendment for the general fund police department budget to account for purchase authority for this equipment. It is at a level that it won't significantly impact our fund balance in our city's general fund, but obviously we don't want to incur additional costs like this of an unexpected nature very frequently. Happy to take any questions you may have, and I'm sure Chief Lawson would as well.
Council, do you have any questions? Chief, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. I just want to make myself available.
Okay. If there are no questions, I would accept a motion.
I'll make a motion for a 2026 budget amendment to authorize the police department to purchase encryption software for all handheld radios utilizing the city's general fund, utilizing the vendor TBS Electronics for an amount not to exceed $12,850.25.
Thank you, Ms. Gruby. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Back to item A, presentation of 2027 Budget Development Community Groups Funding Grant Requests. Mr. Porter.
Apologies for the mouthful and the titling of that item. Thank you for the opportunity to present this information. I'm glad to see that we have several people here tonight to answer any questions you might have at the City Council. Just to recap for everyone who's unaware, the city's annual budget process is under development for next year. We model after the calendar year with our fiscal year. So what you see included in the agenda packet tonight are the responses the city received, and there were 4 in total, for community funding support for community organizations from the city. This funding support has been provided in previous years and is aimed at helping vitalize the community, provide community events, opportunities for activities and development of all members of the Tonganoxie community. With this, we do have a framework that was instituted in 2022 to help the City Council evaluate these proposals and determine suitability for awarding funding every year in the budget process. Prior to having that framework, it was sort of an ad hoc decision, and there weren't really consistencies between the submitted applications. We did put out notice on the city's website of the opportunity for funding support earlier this year, as well as direct outreach to any agency that requested funding in the past. So with that, included in the agenda packet are 4 attachments, 1 each from the Tonganoxie Business Association, the Tonganoxie Arts Council, the Tonganoxie Historical Society, and the Tonganoxie Farmers Market. You can see included in those applications references to the framework for evaluation, which we share as part of the advertisement for funding requests, as well as other ancillary information from each of these groups. We've invited a representative of each group to attend and make a discussion with you tonight, answer any questions you may have as the City Council, and hope to advance in our budget development later this year towards a budget adoption in September for 2027. So with that, if we'd like, we could offer the chance for Q&A with members of each organization and just roll through an order, or take questions if you have any for staff.
How does everybody feel? Do you want to hear from each group, or do we want to just move on with a motion?
They're here.
Yep, okay. Makes sense.
Go first, all right. We have first Rachel Kelly with the Tonganoxie Arts Council.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak today. I have the honor of being the president of the Tonganoxie Arts Council this year. And with me, I have our treasurer, Erica Goodwin, and our secretary, Keita Kelly. We are in our 7th year as the Tonganoxie Arts Council, and we are off to a great start. We started this year off with a membership drive by hosting an art retreat, which brought new members, which means we have more volunteers. Many community members, young and old, showed up to our streetlight gallery board paintings, which I'm sure you noticed. The patriotic boards looked amazing with the flags this year. They will be up for auction, so make sure you get your bids in there. Our newest event, and a great event I might add, was our chalk art contest in conjunction with the with Tonganoxie Days. And we had 25 people compete. Over $800 worth of prizes were awarded in different age categories, and this was sponsored by Community National Bank. We're excited to have them as a partner as well. And if you go through our list, you can kind of see all the other things that we're doing. I don't want to, stand up here and list every item that we have this year, but I want to make sure to mention one of our biggest events is the storytelling prelims that we have a joint venture with the Kansas Storytelling Festival out of Downs, Kansas. We bring in tall tale storytellers from across the state, and they vie for a spot in the Downs Storytelling Contest. And of course, we also want to bring more entertainment to Tonganoxie, and we are bringing in headliner Bill Lepp from West Virginia. And if you haven't seen him, it's definitely something you don't want to miss. I think after 7 years in the community, we are starting to be recognized by community members. They're no longer going to events and wondering who they is that put on the event, or didn't do a good job, or did do a good job. They is now the Tonganoxie Arts Council. I hope that the city members are excited as we are for the rest of this year and next year, and we look forward to your partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys do a great job. I appreciate you and all that you do.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here as Kay Sudard for the Tonganoxie Community Historical Society. I've been on the board for about 8 years now, and we are very grateful for the support and the grants that we've received over the years. We're on our 41st year now from the city. We've had a great partnership with the city over those years, and we always, we have events, a lot of events, and sometimes we're the first introduction to Tonganoxie. We have the one, we allow the storytelling from Downs, Kansas. That takes place out in the barn. We do barn quilts where people sign up from all over the northeast Kansas and come. We have programming. Recently, we had a senior citizen tour bus. I think there was 54 people on it from Topeka that came. They went downtown to 1866 and had dinner. And so we are, many times, are the first people they meet or the first place they stop. So I think the city has always recognized that and worked with us, and we want to continue that. Our goal is, and our mission statement is, to preserve the history and also to promote the education and more events that will do community things. We have lots of community partnerships, not only with the city, but with the Art Council, the Rec Commission, and on and on. So it's our goal, with your help, to continue that mission. Any questions?
Just a statement that the recent Declaration of Independence program that you had out there was very good. I appreciated that.
Well, good. And shout out that on Thursday evening, we will be reading the Declaration of Independence at Gallagher Park. It will be at 5 o'clock. It is across the United States, everyone's going to read the Declaration of Independence at the same time. So for us in Central Standard Time, it's 5 o'clock. So join us.
That's great.
Wednesday, sorry, Wednesday.
It's okay.
I'm going on vacation Thursday.
Thank you, Kay.
Did anyone else have anything? Okay.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Natalie Freese, and I'm here representing Tonganoxie's Farmers Market. First of all, I want to thank you for your support, but also your volunteer hours that you provide for our community. The market is asking for funds for our 7th season. We use these funds for music and food trucks, which I've made a priority to make sure that these are local people. For the t-shirts that we're modeling today, also for marketing, so we can pull in as many consumers as possible, and we've done a good job of increasing our attendance each and every year. Purchases like canopy for shade and protection from weather, but the most exciting opportunity is to support a new program, our internship program. Girls, come on up. This is Ava and Peyton Porta. They have served as the market's interns for the last season as well as this season. And so these are the things that we're working on. We're working on managing paperwork and bookkeeping, how to handle emergency situations, marketing and social media, effective communication skills, and juggling personalities and demands of vendors and consumers. Most importantly, they're my muscle as well. This is an important opportunity to pass these skills to our younger generations, and because of your grant, we've been able to issue stipends as well to these young ladies. So thank you again for the support and your many volunteer hours, and thank you for considering our request for this next season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I don't think anyone's here from the Tonganoxie Business Association, but Joanna Ibis, the president of that organization, did submit a letter in keeping with their request.
Okay, great. Any discussion, council? If not, I would accept a motion.
Do we need one?
Oh, wait, this isn't an action item.
We don't,
I
yes.
apologize, my mistake.
I make a motion that we thank all of the community groups Second. for coming and for all that you
Third.
guys do.
Thank you. Okay, onward to item C. Folks can clear out if they're done and don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting. It's fine. Item C is consider approval of purchase of grit pump equipment for city wastewater treatment plant facility. Mr. Porter.
Unfortunately, everyone's going to miss the most thrilling item this evening on our agenda. So a grit pump is a very vital piece of equipment in our sewer or wastewater treatment plant process. Just so you know, it functions by extracting highly abrasive items like sand, gravel, silt, or grit, in better terms, that settle to the bottom of a chamber and get it out of our treatment process so it doesn't cause damage to equipment further down the line in our overall process for returning water back to the local environment in better condition than we find it. With this, there was a procurement process that solicited bids from multiple vendors. We did receive an incomplete response from other vendors, but because the current bid that we did receive from Haynes Equipment is compatible with our equipment in place at the water treatment plant, we do request that this be approved under that sole source procurement. We've utilized this company in the past several years ago for similar equipment and had good response as well with their performance. With this, we do have cost identified with our sewer operations fund. We'll monitor that fund closely as we reach year end. This was not a budgeted initiative, but due to a recent failure in the current pump. So because it is a critical piece of equipment and we don't have a replacement available, we do need to ask for approval to move ahead quickly with the repair and not wait until next year in our next budget development process. The quote collected was for $7,918, and upon approval, we would expedite that order and get it installed as quickly as possible using our staff at our sewer plant facility. Happy to take any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Porter?
I don't have a question about this particular issue, but I am curious if we see increased problems after the 4th of July from debris that hits the plant. I've seen evidence of people blowing debris into the sewers.
We've not heard from staff that that's an issue, but we'll follow up in the coming days as if we get another rain event and
As
things
it
get
flows
flushed
in.
through the system. So, you know, typically there's a varying sizes of filters, and hopefully the big things get caught on the bigger filters before they create issues further down in the system. But I'll certainly ask Mr. Heskett about that.
We also don't have a combined sewer stormwater system here in Tonganoxie, which helps us compared to communities that do. So anything entering storm drains doesn't process through our sewer treatment process, which is great on many levels.
Where does that go?
to outflow locations, so it is conduited to a designated place near or adjacent to the floodplain.
Anyone else? All right, I would accept a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of a grip pump from Haynes Equipment for an amount not to exceed $7,918.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of the temporary CMB application for the Leavenworth Fair Grandstand events. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. Our agenda statement included in the packet has all the respective details. This event is obviously a mainstay in Tonganoxie every summer. The Leavenworth County Fair Association is required in order to sell alcohol on a temporary basis at the grandstand and fairgrounds during the rodeo events to require a permit called a temporary CMB or cereal malt beverage permit. That does require the approval of the City Council. Every year we receive their application, review the circumstances outlined in the request, ensure that the state has been adequately notified and the proper application's been filed there. They do pay a fee to the city for that administrative process, and upon approval by the City Council, we then work with the state to put into effect the temporary permit. With this, we also review the incident or the location of the proposed event with our public safety departments to ensure we don't have any concerns that need to be expressed to you all from previous year events. This year we did that step and did not receive any negative feedback or concerning feedback in order to share that with you. So happy to take any questions you may have, but we just seek a motion to approve it and allow staff to move forward with the next steps. And a reminder, the fair hours and operations of the event are Wednesday, July 29th through Saturday, August 1st from 5 p.m. to midnight each night in the case of these sales.
Okay. Any questions or a motion for Mr. Porter?
I will make a motion to approve the temporary cereal malt beverage application for the Leavenworth County Fair Grandstand events for consumption on the Leavenworth County Fairgrounds premises at 405 West 4th Street.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard Mr. Wilkie first, so we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item E is the Leavenworth County Port Authority city appointment. Mr. Porter, do you want to take that?
Yes, so under the current amended and restated Leavenworth County Port Authority agreement, the cities of Basehor, Lansing, and Tonganoxie each choose to appoint one member to the Port Authority's Board of Directors. Under the terms of the agreement, we most recently appointed Chris Donnelly to a 3-year term starting in 2025 that would have expired in March of 2028. Mr. Donnelly needed to resign and express that to city staff, and I think the mayor at an earlier date. And so with that vacancy, the city council does have the option to make an appointment. It is done by majority approval, and that includes the mayor, if I remember correctly. So a simple majority making an appointment would result in that taking effect. That person would fill the remaining unexpired term until March of 2028 in that position.
I would like to nominate Jake Dale to take that position.
Thank you, I would accept if the council so chose.
Council, what do we say?
I love that.
Good
Can I
with that,
second,
Becca?
third, and fourth it? Yeah.
All right, great.
Second, third, and fourth.
All right. Item F, resolution number 072601, revenue neutral rate notice to Leavenworth County Clerk for the 2027 budget year. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't belabor this, but I'll just do a very brief introduction. The city attorney worked with city staff to prepare the attached draft resolution. It effectuates a decision, the first real decision of the 2027 budget process, in that it directs staff to advertise and notify the county clerk as required of the city's intent to levy property taxes in excess of the revenue neutral rate. And just for reference, the revenue neutral rate is the exact same dollar amount of property taxes as in the previous year. So if valuations for a community go up because new homes are built, new businesses are built, or other changes happen in land use, that's not considered. What's simply considered is, does the municipality or county or other taxing jurisdiction have the intent to possibly exceed that by more than $1 more than the prior year? In most years and in most circumstances, staff will always recommend that you consider taking this approach. Whether or not the eventual adopted budget, adopted in some cases months later, still lessens the amount of exceeding the revenue neutral rate set with this decision, this is setting the cap. So it is setting a cap in mills by tax levy fund that cannot be exceeded in the eventual adopted budget. What city staff work on each year is the development of budget work session materials that help arm the city council with the information you need to decide at this point in time, where do we feel that the city's budget may lead towards final adoption in September, and does that need to exceed the revenue neutral rate? To sort of sum up what our discussions have been to date, we have received some preliminary information from the Tonganoxie Public Library, which levies 2 of the 4 mill levies that the city is involved with and that we are required to notify the county clerk about by July 20th, as required by state law. We've also evaluated our own general fund and our debt service fund, which are the 2 funds that maintain a mill levy for city business and city activity only. We do, in this resolution, establish that there will be a revenue neutral rate public hearing, which is required in the event that a jurisdiction intends to exceed the revenue neutral rate or possibly exceed it. Just a reminder as well, whatever amount is included in this publication and notification will be issued in letters to taxpayers. Each property owner will receive a notice, usually in late July of each year, sharing the date and time of the public hearing for every taxing jurisdiction, as well as the maximum mill levies, and if those were adopted at the full extent, what the property taxes would be for that individual property owner. So the 2 variables there are what their property is appraised at and if that went up or down, and then obviously the maximum mill levy for every individual taxing jurisdiction. So that's a really convoluted explanation, and I apologize it meandered, but if you have any questions about what you're being asked to consider tonight, please let us know. One thing I do want to highlight, just for reference, the revenue neutral rate publication has blanks that will be filled in with your decision in approving this resolution. And for reference, in previous budget work sessions, I was just going to pull up the information. The total mill levy for the city and the library in all 4 levies is projected to total no more than 40.568 mills, which is an increase of 1.072 mills over the 2026 budget adopted mill levy. The entirety of that increase is split amongst the Library Operations Fund and the Library Employee Benefits Fund. The 2 city mill levies each show a shift, but they cancel each other out. So the city's mill levy would be no more than the exact amount in the mill levy for 2026 under the current consideration. One thing we do want to highlight too, just to add to the end, in the draft motion, if you direct staff to go forward with this publication, we do anticipate that the library board will meet again later this week, which obviously is after you've made your decision, but they do have the option to reduce their request for a mill levy increase from that current amount of 1.072 mills to a lesser amount. In the event that they did, if your motion tonight was conditioned upon receiving confirmation from the library of the current projection or a lesser amount, and then advising the county clerk of the lesser amount if that's selected, we could certainly take that approach and still meet all our statutory guidelines for getting this notice completed. So not to add too much complexity, but if you'd like to take that and include that in the draft motion, we can definitely take that feedback and act accordingly. Sorry for so much here, but
No, that's
happy to
great.
take any questions if you have some.
What do we think, gang?
I think I'm ready to motion.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think I'm ready to motion.
All right, let's have it.
I will make a motion to approve resolution number 07-26-01, a resolution calling and providing for notice of a public hearing on the governing body's intent to levy a property tax exceeding the revenue neutral rate in the city of Tonganoxie, Kansas, pursuant to KSA 79-2988, identifying the maximum mill levy at 40.568, with staff allowance to adjust that pursuant to the library's final decision on the 1.072 mill levy increase on their behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Nice job, Jake.
That was beautiful.
Thank you all.
Jake.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Porter. We'll move on to the city manager agenda. Mr. Brajkovic, do you
Mayor,
have
we-
anything?
We do have
We
one.
do have one additional item, Mayor. It's another CMB application.
I'm so
This
sorry.
is for the new Casey's that's being constructed, and we've heard a lot about CMB licensing earlier, so we'd be happy to answer any questions. But that application is for the new store being constructed there at 2440 in South Park.
Okay. Any conversation, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the cereal malt beverage license for Casey's General Store located at 170 South Park Drive, Tonganoxie, to sell retail cereal malt beverages in original unopened containers and not for consumption on the premises.
Thank you, Ms. Gruby. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Now, spotlight's on Mr. Brajkovic.
Thanks, Mayor. Just on that last item, that Casey's, for the record, I think it's tracking towards a early August opening. They're kind of in the final stages of their construction project there, so. But I don't have anything under the city manager agenda, but thank you.
Okay. City attorney agenda, Ms. Kristolich?
No items, Mayor.
All right, thank you. City council agenda, unfortunately, Ms. Stevens resigned, so we have, I'm sorry, I'm horning into your territory here, probably should have put this under mayor agenda. But anyway, we've got a vacancy that we need to fill, and we'd like to set a deadline of, what's the date, Dan? Remind me,
It'd be to receive interested parties' applications. In order to consider them on July 20th, we would ask for them by 8 a.m. on July 16th, which would be a Thursday,
okay.
if possible.
So it's what was that, 10 days?
Yes.
Okay. Any objections to that?
Nope.
I concur.
Okay. Now, city council agenda, does anyone have any items?
I move that the city council recess into executive session to obtain legal advice regarding development matters pursuant to the attorney-client consultation exception in KSA 75-4319B2. The executive session will include the city attorney, city manager, assistant city manager, and city clerk, and the open meeting will resume in the city council chamber at, what does that say? 8:20.
Okay, we have a motion for executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're now in executive session.
actually gonna go back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I move that the city council recess into executive session to obtain legal advice regarding development matters pursuant to the attorney-client consultation exception in KSA 754319B2. The executive session will include the city attorney, manager, assistant city manager, and city clerk. The open meeting will resume in the city council chamber at 8:33.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Going executive session.
Frosty. Weather.
Do you have the thing so you can read the thing? Really?
And just read it like that. No binding action was taken in the executive session.
Okay. Anyone else from city council have anything that they want to add?
No.
Okay. All right. Mayor's agenda, we have a library board vacancy. Can you update me on that, Dan?
Yes, Mayor. So the library board has a vacant position. We had a resignation from one of the city resident positions on the board. That person has left service. There is one applicant so far. We've advertised on the city website, and the library has also advertised for several weeks. At their board meeting this week on Wednesday, they'll interview that applicant, and we expect on July 20th, they'll have a recommendation sent to the city to make that appointment. And that person will fill the remainder of the unexpired term of that position,
If we approve them.
if you approve them. And just a reminder, it's the mayor's appointment with the consent of a majority of the city council.
Right. Finally, I need to, the code say I need to appoint a mayor pro tem, and I'd like to nominate Jake for that. Not only is he eminently qualified, but he's longest served, which is
Thank you.
precedent.
I would accept if it were the will of the commission. I also would say, I've considered this role and the Port Authority role as not conflicting from a time standpoint or adding too much to my plate, so.
So you can sort it out with, so what's the vote? Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Agree.
Agree.
Aye.
Agreed.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all.
And then you sort out with Dan where you want to sit. I have nothing else. Jake,
With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn and get to warmer climes.
do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good meeting, everyone. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you all.